Yo, what's up guys, hope you guys are doing good. So today we are going to see what if Naruto build harem to restore Uzumaki clan part 2. Hope you will enjoy this video, so before we start please like the video and subscribe to our channel and hit bell notification, it motivates me to upload more fanfics for my lovely audience. So let's get started. Naruto woke up very satisfied. Though he had only gotten around 5 hours of sleep, it had been one of the best nights of his life. On both sides of him, Karen and Ino were both asleep. Karen was lightly snoring due to exhaustion. Ino had become too exhausted to snore, which baffled Naruto to an extent. He didn't really grasp that the fox had been feeding him chakra all night, which was also part of why he felt like he had slept for 3 days. Getting up lightly, he got into the bathroom. Jumping into the shower, he set it to mostly cold, and relaxed. He felt bad for whoever he was taking out today, as they had a lot to live up to. What if it's Hanabi, though? Naruto wondered. Shaking his head quickly, he decided she was still too young for that. Even if she acted older than him. Naruto also considered that it was wrong that he should think they should live up to each other. Naruto jumped out, feeling like he had lost time, and quickly got dressed. Once he was out of the shower, he saw Karen and Ino both had gotten up, and had started getting ready. Looking at the clock, he saw he had been in there for 40 minutes. He was shocked, thinking he had only spent maybe 10 in the shower. Guess it takes me a while to think. Naruto murmured to himself. How did you sleep? Karen asked, revealing she was sore from her voice alone. When she stood up, it was obvious she was beat. Ino said as she stood up. She was obviously sore as well. She looked at Naruto, and winked. Smiling, Naruto walked to her. You guys okay? He asked. After looking over Ino, he ran over to Karen. Checking her over, he decided they both needed a day of relaxing. Yeah, we will live, Karen said, grabbing the bags of clothing she had gotten yesterday. Naruto bent over, grabbing the jacket they had bought him. After tossing it on, he looked at them. You guys ready to get moving? He asked. He had no idea who he was meeting today, so he was kind of excited to figure it out. Maybe if he went with to the meet-up, one of them could pick. Yeah. Walk slow though. It hurts to move, Ino requested. Naruto simply nodded in response. Together, the three made their way slowly out of the apartment. So where is this meeting place? Naruto asked. Ino and Karen looked at each other, and back to Naruto. I forgot, Ino stated. I remember where Ren is staying, though. We should go there to find out, Karen said. Naruto nodded, and they headed off in the direction of Ren's place. Karen led them to the place where Ren was staying, and sat on the bench outside. I have to wait here. My legs won't do stairs right now. Same here, Ino grumbled, sitting next to her. Just ask the person up front, and she will tell you where to go. Alright, Naruto said, very unsure of what he was doing. He entered the hotel, and walked straight up to the receptionist's desk. Hi. I'm looking for Ren, of the Mist Village. That was when he realized it. He knew very little about a lot of these women. He knew Hanabi and Hinata's last name. He knew Ino's last name, but besides that, he knew very little about a lot of the women. He knew Tamari, Hinata, Hanabi, and Ino since he was young. The others he had all met later. Because of that, he felt bad. He was supposed to be learning more about these people. Room 305 inches, the receptionist stated blandly, and went back to work. Naruto nodded, and went for the stairs. When he got up there, he looked at the number a few times, making sure it was the room, and knocked. Inside he heard some rumbling as though the person had fallen. Coming. He heard Ren yell. Naruto waited patiently, and eventually Ren opened the door. Naruto looked at her for a second before he finally realized who she was. On the other hand, she seemed to recognize him immediately. Instantly she blushed, and looked away. I didn't know it was you, Naruto. It's good to see you. Ren murmured. Naruto smiled slightly, and patted her head. It's good to see you too. Nice to see you are all healed up. Ren smiled, and nodded. Anyway, Naruto started again. Karen, Ino, and I were wondering where the meetup is. They tried to remember where it was, but had no luck. We were hoping you would know. Yeah, I can show you if you would meet me outside. I have to change. Ren blushed. It was then that Naruto noticed she was wearing her pajamas, which were just her underwear with a long shirt over them. He blushed a little, and backed up. Alright, I'll see you outside. Naruto blushed as well. Ren slowly closed the door, and leaned against it for a moment. Seeing her future husband and hero made her feel weak for a moment, then quickly went to get dressed when she realized he would be waiting. XXX at the Hyuga compound XXX. Hinata woke up with two sudden realizations. She was horribly hungover, and there was somebody in the bed with her. Sitting up quickly, she knocked the arm away from her, and looked. Fully nude next to her was Tamari. Hinata looked at herself, and gasped. She herself was completely naked. As she stood, her pounding headache hit her, and she almost fell from the throbbing. Son of a bitch, Hinata heard from behind her. Quickly looking back, she saw Tamari sitting up, holding her head. She looked to Hinata, seeing her naked, and looked back to herself. Wow. That really happened. Yeah, and I think I'm dying right now. Hinata responded, needing to sit. Tamari chuckled a little, and kept her head in her hands. I hope you're not dying, 'cause it was that bad. It's the hangover. Listen, can we talk about this tomorrow? When we aren't sick. Yeah. Together, they got dressed, and headed to find Tsunade. It would be awkward to explain they were horribly hungover and needed treatment, but Tsunade is the one person who would understand. They hoped. XXX at the meeting XXX. Tamari and Hinata walked into the meeting place, now recovered thanks to an IV and medical ninjutsu. Looking at the ones already there, they saw Karen, Ino, Ren, who seemed fine, and Samui, who seemed fine as well. As they got to the table, they noticed another was with them. It was Naruto. Didn't realize you would be here, Naruto. Nice jacket. Tamari smiled. Hello, Naruto, Hinata said, with a very slight stutter. Hinata also included a compliment on his jacket. Once the two sat, Samui looked at them. Naruto was just telling us that he has no idea who he is going out with today. Among us here right now, only Ren and I have yet to go with him. Hanabi should be back soon enough, and Kuretsuchi will probably wait till the wedding, or the week before, to actually arrive and go out with Naruto. It's nothing against you personally, Naruto. It's just past village hate that she won't let go of. Even if the villages are at peace right now. I understand. That's why I am trying my hardest to figure out how to make her feel happy around here when she gets here. Naruto stated. That's nice of you, considering she will probably be a pain. To be honest, though I have only been here for a little bit, the Leaf Village has grown on me. I hope it does the same for her. Me too. But who should I be going out with? The girls all looked at each other. It felt strange to think about, but it was easier to pick considering some of them had already been out with him. It was a simple vote between Samui and Ren. I will be okay with waiting another day. Besides, I want to be the last, before Kuretsuchi. I know her a bit, so I can try to prepare Naruto then. Samui said before the voting even got underway. I think I should go. A voice said behind Tamari and Hinata. Everybody looked, and saw Hanabi standing by them. If that's okay. Naruto looked at Ren, who smiled and nodded. Internally, she had wished she could have gone out with Naruto. She could, however, wait a little longer. Alright, Hanabi, we can head out. It was supposed to be you yesterday, anyway. Naruto stood, and said goodbye to everybody. Hanabi took his hand, and the two left. That was a little bitchy. But I guess I understand. She was apparently supposed to go out with him yesterday, so she probably feels a little ripped off. Samui whispered. Yeah, I can wait until tomorrow, anyway. Ren said. That's my sister. She is quite determined. Yeah, and you are her sister. Looks like she got all the determination. Tamari stated dryly. All of it. Hinata smiled. But she has her sweet moments. You will all see them. Believe me. As a matter of fact, I'm sure Naruto will see her nice side. Well, alright, Samui said, and relaxed in her seat. Oh my god. Hinata gasped suddenly. Everyone looked at her suddenly, and followed where she was looking. Karen, Ino, Tamari, and even Samui gasped. Outside the window was Sakura. It had been a long time since anybody had seen her. If they hadn't seen her pink hair, they wouldn't have recognized her. She had always been pale, but she was almost pure white now. She had always been skinny, but they could now see her hip and cheekbones. Ino looked away with tears in her eyes, and Karen wrapped her arm around her shoulder for comfort. Hinata could only stare in disbelief. Tamari looked away in discontentment that she had fallen that far because of one man. Samui had only met Sakura briefly, but even she was shocked. All they could do was hope she didn't run into Naruto on his time out with Hanabi. Then she did the next worst thing. She looked in through the window, her eyes looking as empty as someone's eyes could, and saw them. XXX with Naruto and Hanabi XXX. Naruto walked through the streets, Hanabi still holding his hand tightly, and wandered to the food district. He had no idea what to do while on a date with Hanabi. He assumed it would be different than the others. Mainly because if she tried to initiate sex, he would decline. So far, he had only started it with Hinata, though he supposed the accidental towel slip could be blamed a little. So where are we going, Hanabi? Naruto asked. To the dango shop we went to a few years back. Hanabi stated. Naruto thought back, and began to remember going there with her between missions. He really didn't, and still doesn't, like dango. She had asked to go there, however, and he agreed to go with. Alright. They made their way into the dango shop, and were quick to order. Naruto watched Hanabi order, and not disliking what she ordered, got the same thing. He didn't eat here at all really, and had no idea what they had. After they got their food, and Naruto paid, the two went outside to sit on a bench located at the front of the store. You know, Hanabi started, making Naruto almost jump in surprise. She had been quiet most of the time so far. The first time we came here all that time ago. I counted it as my first date, now more than ever. Us getting married soon and all, it just makes it feel more like it really was my first date. Naruto had never considered the effect he could have had on her. Looking back now, he hadn't realized his impact on so many people's lives, yet there were now several people who wanted to marry him, were willing to deal with the Clan Restoration Act, and were on their way to becoming friends. It was quite touching to really take in how lucky he was, and how he was starting to have a family of his very own. It was something he had always wanted, and he was now well on his way to having a family. Wow, I hadn't realized how much that meant to you. It really does mean a lot, though. Naruto said, eating his dango, and taking Hanabi's hand in his. Naruto looked at Hanabi with a smile. It's okay. I mean, I was kinda young then, but so were you, I guess. So it was just something I didn't expect you to think about, I guess. Yeah, well, what do you want to do after we finish eating? Hanabi thought about what she usually wanted to do, and had trouble thinking of something she actually liked to do without it being against on a date material. Well, I guess we could spar. I'd really like to see how strong you have become. I mean, I'm sure I'm nowhere as strong as you, but I just want to get a gauge, and show you how strong I am. That's fine. I could use a good workout. And I will go easy on you. It really isn't a fair fight saying I have the nine-tailed fox, after all. Yeah, I guess not. I would still like to meet the fox someday. I'm sure you will meet him someday. We chat quite often, and I'm sure he would like to meet all my wives someday. The two finished their dango, and though it really didn't fill Naruto, he was content for now. The two stood up, and headed for the training ground. XXX at the wives meet up XXX. Sakura walked in. None who knew her could believe it. Since Sasuke was brought back, she seemed to avoid them altogether. Now though, she was there. She was walking toward them. She looked mad. Hello, everyone, Sakura said with anger in her voice. How nice to see you all. We're stepping outside, Samui stated, and pulled Ren up from her seat. The two of them excused themselves away from the soon-to-be scene. You can get out of here too, Hinata and Tamari. You haven't betrayed anybody, Sakura stated, the anger very apparent in her voice. Hinata looked at Ino and Karen, giving them a quick apologetic look, and they left the place. Sakura. Look, we understand you're mad, but. Shut up. Sakura screamed at Ino as she tried to talk. Both Ino and Karen flinched as their ex-friend shouted. You two think you can just abandon Sasuke like you did. Not only that, but you didn't even complain when he was sent to prison without trial. It has just been me fighting to get him a trial, and get him freed, while you two just sit there. Not only that, but I hear you two are going to marry Naruto now. You two just give up on Sasuke, and move on to Sasuke's greatest enemy. You abandoned Sasuke, you abandoned me, and you abandoned yourselves. Karen and Ino just sat there listening. Both wanted to yell at Sakura, but thought it would only make it worse. There was Sakura, yelling at them, and looking more like a skeleton than their past friend. She was so brainwashed by Sasuke that she couldn't see how ridiculous she was being. Do you two have anything to say for yourselves? Sakura yelled after her rant. Karen, who had less of a history with her, snapped. Yeah, you are crazy, and we are busy preparing for our wedding day. If you are done being a brainwashed fool, then please leave. Karen said. Ino instantly hoped that Sakura's body could no longer sustain its past super strength punches, or Karen may die. You bitch, Sakura whispered, hate dripping in her voice. Her hand went back quickly, and Ino felt herself rise slightly to stop Sakura from possibly killing Karen. A hand suddenly stopped Sakura's though. Who the hell? Behind Sakura was Tamari, holding Sakura's hand in a death grip. Sakura turned to look at her, and saw Hinata, Samui, and Ren behind her. I don't know what she said, but we saw your face after she said it, and I will be damned if I let you mess with one of Naruto's other wives. Tamari growled. Sakura's face twisted in anger, and looked like she was getting ready to swing at Tamari. Hinata noticed this, and moved in. Slamming two palms into Sakura's side, Hinata sent her flying away from them, and crashing into the restaurant's wall. Karen and Ino both looked at the other wives with shock in their eyes. We should probably pay for the damage before we get in serious trouble from this. Hinata murmured. The others nodded in agreement, and headed to pay. It would have easier to just run, but they liked this place too much to just leave. Don't worry about it, the owner said when they tried to hand him cash. She was obviously insane, and the village police are on the way to get her. Thank you, they each said, and left. Both were overly happy to be out of there from meeting Sakura again after so long, and finding out she had lost her mind. Ino and Hinata felt the biggest hit from seeing her, having known her most of their lives. I don't think we should tell Naruto about seeing her, Karen murmured. Samui and Ren looked at her with a shocked expression, while Tamari nodded, and Hinata and Ino stayed lost in thought. Well, look at Ino and Hinata. They are crushed. Also, yesterday Naruto and Ino both got upset when Sakura was brought up in discussion alone. Think about what it will do to him when he hears how far she has fallen, and how bad her mind is warped. It's just not worth it. I don't know if we should keep this from him, Samui stated dryly. I think we should, Ino suddenly chimed in. The other future wives looked at her, waiting for her reasoning. If it would have been Naruto here instead of me, I wouldn't want him to tell me. I'm not going to tell him, but if you guys want to, be my guest. At that, they all understood. It would hurt too much to know. They all could imagine what he would feel, and suddenly felt worried about telling him. Samui, however, still felt it wasn't right. I will tell him. This is a piece of information that he has a right to know, and would feel betrayed if we kept it. I know he will understand if you don't wish to tell him, but Ren or I should, and comfort him with what may come after. Alright, Ino returned. That was just really painful to deal with. Why don't we all go to my family's compound? There is lots of room there so we may all hang out. Hinata said, still in shock over Sakura's behavior, but more so her appearance. She had always been thin, but attractively so. Now, she was pale, starved, and insane. It was a lot to take in just a few moments. That sounds nice. Let's do that, Ren said from the back. Slowly, everybody came to an agreement that some time to relax where there wouldn't be any awkward encounters. XXX with Hanabi and Naruto XXX. The pair got to the training grounds quickly. Naruto, who was still nervous what to do next, was happy the idea of training came up. A quick spar would be good. Standing opposite each other, the two got ready to throw some punches. Naruto had figured they would only punch and kick, until Hanabi activated her Byakugan. Wait, I don't want to fight you using jutsu. I could really hurt you. Naruto insisted, backing up a bit. Thinking to himself, he could only think of a few jutsu that he knew that wouldn't be potentially fatal. I want to see what you can do. Neji and Hinata are good, but I am better. Hanabi said. At that moment, she rushed at Naruto. Should we show her what we are capable of? The fox asked. Naruto didn't need to think about it, opting they only use a tenth of their ability. The fox, who had remained completely still up till then, gave Naruto the required natural energy needed to go into Sage mode. Hanabi didn't falter, and instead struck Naruto in the stomach with a chakra-infused flat palm. Sending him flying back a bit, Hanabi smiled in suspected victory. When Naruto stood up however, she realized how wrong she was. Seeing his chakra flow, she couldn't help but notice that the natural energy had blocked her attack, and Naruto had received no real damage. I think she realizes what we can do now. The fox chuckled. Naruto smiled lightly, and moved in to attack Hanabi. Though she tried to jump back, Naruto grabbed her arm, and tossed her playfully. After doing so, he wished he hadn't, as Hanabi appeared to become angry about his casual attitude toward the fight suddenly. Naruto frowned, and stepped back a bit, not wanting her to hurt herself trying to attack him. The only thing he could think of however, was to take the spar session seriously. Getting ready to fight, he dashed at Hanabi just as she charged at him. The two threw punches, and Hanabi assaulted Naruto with continuous waves of Hyuga jutsu. Naruto had decided after getting serious that he would refrain from using jutsu. He didn't want Hanabi getting hurt from any of his jutsu, most of which could easily kill any non-homicidal maniac, like the villains he faced in the past. Okay, I want to at least see one of your stronger jutsu, Hanabi said slightly exhausted. Naruto, who was feeling pretty good from the workout, nodded. He stood completely still for a few moments. Before long, he had decided what to show her. Ready, Naruto yelled, and a flash of blinding light flooded the area. Hanabi was pushed back a bit by a wind of chakra what resonated from Naruto. Once the light had faded, she looked to see another transformation of Naruto, rather than a jutsu. While she was slightly saddened, she was awestruck at the same time. Before her was Naruto standing atop the nine-tailed fox's head. Hanabi ended her Byakugan jutsu, as the sheer amount of chakra that flowed between the two was hurting her eyes. From behind her, back in the village, she could hear people cheering and whistling. At one time, the fox was the embodiment of everything the village hated. Now, he was an attachment of their hero, and just as much a hero himself. Wow, was the only thing Hanabi could murmur as she stood staring at the two. She couldn't help but realize how weak she was, yet at the same time, she felt safer than she ever did in her entire life. With Naruto protecting her, it would take all the shinobi world to get to her. Naruto, realizing that Hanabi had seen enough, dropped the form, and landed on his feet by her. Hanabi dropped down to sit on the ground with a still very shocked face on. "You okay?" Naruto asked her. "I've never felt safer, or weaker, in my entire life. I would be willing to train you. I don't want anyone to feel weak. It just is nice I have the power to protect everybody I love. Which does, by the way, include all my future wives." Naruto said, and sat down next to her on the ground. Looking over to him, Hanabi smiled and rested her head on his shoulder. Smiling, Hanabi kissed Naruto's cheek. "Come on. You should probably take me home," Hanabi said, standing up. Nodding, Naruto also stood up. The two began their walk back to the Hyuga mansion. As they walked, Hanabi decided to hold Naruto's hand, which didn't bother Naruto. As long as she wasn't trying to sleep with him. He felt bad thinking that, as he had with most of the other future wives, but she was still a little young. "So I hear you have slept with quite a few of the other future wives," Hanabi said as though she had read his mind. Naruto reacted the same way. What? Where did you hear that?" Naruto said, jumping back a bit. Hanabi laughed a sweet laugh, thinking it was funny he was either protecting their honor, or trying to avoid it with her. Tamari said she did. "Hinata slept over the other night, and you were out with Ino and Karen." "It was pretty obvious," Hanabi stated. Naruto lowered his head, thinking she was about to scold him or something. "It's okay. I knew that it would be one of the things I would have to get over when I offered to be in this relationship. All the wives have thought of it, and have dealt with it too, I assume. And I know you are avoiding it with me. That is fine. Soon enough, though, it will happen. After all, you have one busy wedding night." Naruto stared at her, not sure what to say. He felt really selfish suddenly, realizing all that the wives had to deal with, realizing they would have to share him. Looking at the ground, he started to think about it. He wouldn't be willing to share a single one of them with another man, so why should one of them be willing to share him with the others? "Hey," Hanabi said, breaking him from his train of thought. "It's okay. You didn't really ask for this, I'm sure. And we all volunteered. We're all friends, and we all understand what is being asked of us. You have no room for blame over the fact we are all in this relationship, especially saying there will probably be days where most of us will be aggravated with you. But it's okay. If it wasn't, do you think we would all meet up to get to know each other?" Naruto smiled. Hearing her list why it was okay did make him feel a lot better, though he was still a little bothered. He could only hope when they were all married, it would solve any internal disputes he had with the idea. "Thanks, Hanabi." Naruto smiled, and kissed her on the forehead. Not what she had hoped for, but she understood. The two continued their walk toward the Hyuga compound, and soon arrived. Hanabi and Naruto stood outside the gate, ready to say their goodbyes. From inside the mansion, they could hear the laughter of the other future wives. "They must be in Hinata's room. Hers is oddly enough at the front of the house," Hanabi mentioned. "Wanna stop inside and chat?" "Sure." Naruto smiled. "Good. But first," Hanabi murmured, and kissed Naruto on the lips. Naruto didn't resist, feeling she had earned at least this for helping him through his realization that he should have really had from the beginning. After the kiss broke, Naruto smiled at Hanabi, who was blushing. "If I couldn't have you for the night, then I at least wanted that." The two made their way into the mansion, and arrived at Hinata's room after exchanging pleasantries with a few members of the clan, and Hiyashi. Knocking first, the girls all quieted Dune, and Hinata quietly said to come in. Hanabi led the way, followed by Naruto. Naruto was amazed by the sight of the room. It was much larger than his apartment alone. Quietly, he whispered, needing a place like this for him and his big family. Hanabi and Naruto. They all shouted, except for Samui, who only smiled and said it softly. "What did you guys do today?" Hinata asked happily. Seeing her ask so naturally assured him that they really did realize what they signed up for. "We ate," sparred, and I harassed Naruto on how much a whore he is. Hanabi answered. The response caused a burst of laughter from most of them, with Hinata and Naruto keeping quiet and blushing. We forgot to ask it, but I suppose that means Ino and Karen did have their way with you, huh? Samui asked in a cool voice. Hell yes, Karen said with a grin. This time they all laughed, except for Naruto, who stayed blushing. So, you staying the night here, Naruto? Temari asked. Naruto looked confused, so Hinata explained. I offered to let them stay over. We're going to have a slumber party. In truth, it was my father's idea. After meeting them, he insisted that they stay over. Hinata explained. And he insisted that we stay here now. I guess he has rooms to put us in as well. Samui stated. And I was offered to live here yesterday. Hinata over here and I cuddled. Temari smiled teasingly, obviously hiding what really happened, which was staying between Hinata and herself for now. Naruto decided to nod that he would be staying, though he blushed more after hearing that Hinata and Temari cuddled. It just didn't seem like something Hinata would do. With Temari, it was slightly believable. Cool. A big party then, Ren said happily. Hinata, Hanabi, and Temari went and got sleeping bag-like beds, and everyone set up theirs on the floor, with Naruto's close to Hinata's bed. Everybody else placed theirs by his. Looking around after counting the places, Naruto had to ask Hinata something. You're missing too. Do you want me to help get them? It's okay. Temari asked if she could cuddle again. Hinata started as Temari got into Hinata's bed, and we decided that Hanabi should at least sleep with you. Is that okay? Hanabi asked. Naruto smiled, and nodded. Naruto scooted over, and let Hanabi get into his sleeping bag. Naruto wrapped his arms around her as she cuddled up close to him. No fucking you too, Karen said a little too loud, causing everybody to laugh loudly. As the noise calmed down, there was a loud smack noise, causing everybody to look over at Naruto and Hanabi. Seeing that they were still the way they were, the four others on the ground looked confused. Stop it, Temari. The quiet room heard Hinata say, causing a loud burst of laughter again, and causing Naruto to shoot up, and look at them. Hinata, who was blushing from being heard, looked sheepishly at him. She groped me. Naruto laughed quietly, as everybody else thundered with laughter, and stroked Hinata's cheek with his hand. Laying back down, he cuddled with Hanabi again. A lot of the night was spent with all of them laughing and joking, with very little sleeping being done. When they did, however, Hanabi had drifted to sleep next to her future husband, surrounded by all of his other future wives. It was strange, but she couldn't think of a time she was happier. None of them could. It felt good waking up where he did. He knew it wouldn't always be like this, but it felt good waking up surrounded by his future wives. In his sleeping bag, Hanabi was still close to him, and still in a deep sleep. Hearing faint talking, he turned his head to see Ren and Samui talking, still laying in their sleeping bags. You guys already up? Naruto asked, making both Samui and Ren jump in surprise. Oh, hey, Naruto. Did you sleep well? Ren asked. Yeah. Did you guys? Naruto asked. Both Ren and Samui nodded in agreement, both smiling. So, seeing as Kuretsuchi isn't here yet, which of you am I going out with today? I would say Ren, as it almost was yesterday. I do know Kuretsuchi a bit, and I want to prepare you for her. Ren on the other hand would probably like to catch up with you, saying it has been a long time since she has seen you, and I can wait. Samui said with little pause. Naruto nodded, and attempted to sit up. Finding it suddenly difficult, he looked to see Hanabi holding onto him tightly. Smiling lightly, he rubbed her head lightly. Hanabi, I know you're awake. Naruto stated. Hanabi slowly opened one eye, looking at him with a sleepy look. Do we have to get up? You're so comfy. Hanabi asked, tightening her grip. Yeah, sorry. Naruto whispered. Looking around, he noticed that Ino, Karen, Hinata, and Temari were all still asleep. Okay, I guess we can wait for the others to wake up. Is that okay, Ren? Ren smiled, and nodded happily. All four laid down again, and awaited the others to wake up. XXX at the Hokage's mansion XXX. So Kuretsuchi is officially on her way, then. Tsunade murmured, with Shizune standing in the corner. And from what I have heard, Naruto is going out with Ren today, Samui tomorrow, and has been in contact with the other girls besides that. That means after Kuretsuchi, they can be married. I don't think I could get by with giving him longer than a week till they are married. Yes, Lady Tsunade, Shizune said, making sure she didn't feel like she was talking to herself. And how has the search for a place for them to live been going? Tsunade asked, looking at her assistant. Very well, actually. We have narrowed the selection down to 3 places. All we need to do is have them take a look at the places. We want to wait until after Naruto has went out with them all. Makes sense. Now, on to the next issue. Sakura. Ah, yes. Well, she paid for her bail, and has disappeared. For some reason, even the Anbu haven't found her. I find that very strange. Have the Anbu look every inch of the village, then in and around Sasuke's cell, then all over the Fire Country. I'm going to add her to the bingo books until after the wedding of Naruto and his wives. Yes, Lady Tsunade, Shizune said uneasily. Go ahead. I can tell you want to say something. It's just, don't you feel bad doing all this for you old apprentice? I mean, what if she is caught and killed? Tsunade thought for a moment, trying to figure out a way to explain how she really felt about the situation. She couldn't think of a way to explain how much it hurt her to do, but she knew it was a necessary thing to do. She just hoped everybody would understand that. In truth, however, she felt this was a warm-up explanation for what would surely be an angry Naruto later. She has completely changed. She is not my apprentice anymore. The girl I once taught is seemingly dead, and replaced by this husk. I saw her after she was arrested, and I couldn't even face her. After I left, she disappeared. I do feel like it is my fault, as I could have talked to her more about her issues. I didn't though. I doubt if I had said anything, it would not have mattered, as she would most likely have not listened. Tsunade explained. Realizing how much she hated talking about the topic, she changed it. So, Naruto's wedding should be soon. Are you going to go? Tsunade said, changing her tone like the last conversation didn't happen. Shizune sighed, but knew there was no going back to it. Of course I am going. Naruto is like a little brother to me. Yeah, well, I would say Kuretsuchi should be here in 3 days, so let's set the wedding a week after she gets here. With the wedding set, we can start working on it right away. Of course, the people involved will be asked to help work on it, but we will take care of the smaller things. We should also get the location. Okay, I will get some people to start working on that. Write up a list so we can start knocking things out of the way as early as possible. Will do. Until then, keep on the lookout for Sakura. XXX with Naruto and his future wives XXX. Naruto and his future wives were up now, and ready to get their day going. Ren stood by Naruto, as he was taking her out that day. The rest were ready to have a day of fun together. So I will see you all tomorrow then at some point. Naruto asked. Yeah, meet us here so you can get me tomorrow. Samui stated, smiling. Naruto nodded, and grabbed Ren's hand. Together, the two walked off. The wives turned, and headed off themselves. So what would you like to do today, Naruto? Ren asked. Naruto could tell she was nervous. Not shy, just nervous. Well, why don't you decide? I mean, we're getting to know each other, so I would like to learn about where you are comfortable. Naruto answered. Ren looked at him nervously. It took her a while to think of some place, but Naruto stayed patient. Well, do you like books? Ren asked nervously. Never really read them. I spend most of my time with jutsu scrolls. But if you want to find a bookstore or something, we can do that. I'm sure they have something for training, Naruto answered. Okay, you're sure? Because we could do something else if you wanted. No, a bookstore is fine. Naruto assured quickly. He didn't want to make her feel weird. He wasn't particularly smart, but with her, he was sure to gain some IQ points. Everyone knew he needed them. Oh, okay, Ren murmured. Naruto knew her overall nervous behavior would have to be overcame for her own good, but that could happen in its own time. Or was she just nervous around him? The two made their way to the shop, and walked in. Ren led the way into the shop, being very excited about being in a bookstore. Naruto followed behind her, with the only excitement coming from hoping to find training books for one, and seeing Ren happy as a bonus. Ren instantly led Naruto to the area where he could find what he wanted. Wow, you already know your way around the Konoha bookstore. I guess you've come here a lot then. Naruto guessed. Ren nodded sheepishly, blushing at the feeling of possibly being weird. Cool. That means you know where I can find anything I might need to find someday. Like my own personal librarian. Ren blushed from the praise of Naruto, even though it was strange praise. Getting to the area with training books, Naruto flipped through them. Thinking to himself that scrolls were easier to unfold, and sit by while trying to learn a jutsu, he would try it. If for no other reason than for Ren. Having found what interested him, he then followed Ren around as she looked around. To Naruto, it felt like she was looking at every book in the store, but knew it was something that made her happy. If reading was her passion, then he would try to enjoy it as well. Walking around, Naruto saw something he had almost forgot about. It was the anniversary of the death of Jiraiya, his former teacher. Below a picture was a picture of the great man was all the things he had ever wrote and released to the public. All of his Makeout Paradise books, and the first story he wrote, the tale of the utterly gutsy shinobi. Naruto, who had never read any of Jiraiya's books, walked over to the display. He stood there for a moment, looking at the picture of his old teacher. Ren noticed him walk over to the display right away, yet paused. She saw him looking at the picture, and could only guess by his silence that the person in the picture was someone he knew. The picture let her know that he was dead. Armed with that, and the age, she could only conclude that the man was an old teacher of Naruto. She knew that was the case, as far as she could gather from what she knew. She walked away from the bookshelf she was by, and walked over to Naruto. He was your sensei, am I right? Yeah, he trained me more than my first sensei did in the beginning. He taught me how to summon, taught me my father's jutsu, taught me to control what's inside me. You mean the Kyuubi? Ren asked. I don't know how you know these things. The poster, and the way you looked at him gave it away. The whole Kyuubi thing became world knowledge during the war. If you were trying to hide it, you didn't do a very good job. Ren explained. She suddenly became embarrassed and felt like she pried into his past too much. She was about to turn around to avoid eye contact when she heard Naruto laugh. She froze in place, as she heard a more powerful, almost dangerous, under Naruto's laugh. Naruto clamped his mouth shut a little bit, seeing the shock in her face. Sorry. The Kyuubi liked what you said. We sometimes bicker over my intelligence. Naruto explained. Ren calmed a little, not knowing much about the Kyuubi, or its relationship with Naruto. You're very smart. You picked all that up from the poster though. Well, and how you reacted as well. Gotcha. I don't really like the style of books he wrote, but in his memory, I will try to read them. Naruto said, picking up the box that had the 4 he published. Looking at them, he smiled. They had an introduction wrote by Naruto's other sensei, Kakashi. How about we tell each other about our lives after we leave here? I feel like we both don't know about each other. Oh, I think I know more than you think. Ren stated, hinting about her way of observation. XXX with the wives XXX. Today, the wives decided it wouldn't be a good idea to return to the usual restaurant. After the run-in with Sakura, they wanted a while to process what happened. Instead, they decided today would be a good day to go out and about, and really see what Konoha had to offer, for those that didn't know. They all agreed to get something to eat, shop, and visit some of the places that Naruto loved to visit. Hinata and Ino both knew where he liked to visit, so that made it easy. So where should we go first? Hanabi asked the others. The other future wives all looked about themselves, and some shrugged. We could get ramen. Naruto likes it, Hinata said. Alright, but I don't think there are enough seats for us all there. Quote. Tamari said. Out of all of them, she had been there with Naruto the most. The others really didn't have as much time to really date him, though between Karen, Hinata, Hanabi, and Ino, they had plenty of time to be around him. Those who had agreed that Ren and Samui would get the days till Kuretsuchi got there, then Kuretsuchi would get a couple, then they would all stick around him as they got used to the clan restoration act life. One plus side was time off of work. Other pluses were money twice a year for helping a dying clan, free housing, family for those who never really had it, and, best of all, Naruto. Well, I guess we will just have to figure it out. Samui murmured. As they got closer, they all heard their stomachs growling. None of them had bothered to eat breakfast. When they got there, they were pleased to see the place was still setting up. They didn't realize how early it was, but were pleased that they wouldn't have to wait in a line to eat. Getting under the overhang on the eatery, they instantly saw the power team, Tuki and Ayame. Hey, it's most of Naruto's future wives. Tuki yelled happily. They all smiled and said their hellos and good mornings. Where are the other two? We heard he is getting 8. Not that you aren't enough. It's okay. Ren is out with Naruto right now, and Kuretsuchi will be here in a few days. Tamari said. I see. Well, how about I go get 2 of you chairs so you guys can eat? Hate to have 2 of you sit in the dirt. Tuki said, and left to get chairs. When he left, Ayame walked over and asked them what they wanted to order. They all ordered the breakfast bowl, which promised on the menu to give all the energy needed till lunch. It sounded strange, as it had a lot of the things in it that would work. Things like fish chunks, sausage, eggs, and other items. The real reason they ordered it was because it had the word breakfast in it. Alright, I'll get started on it right away, Ayame said, and got to work, as her father came around and set 2 chairs up for 2 others. As they all sat down, everyone noticed Tamari and Hinata sitting by each other. They then all seemed to remember those 2 being around each other a lot lately. Even Karen and Ino noticed, though they always sat by each other. Between the 2 of them, Karen and Ino both agreed to bring it up when it was just them and the other wives. Their food was done before long, and Tuki and Ayame took the rest of the time to set up the rest of the shop, and talk with the wives. Just so you all know, stop by whenever. We are always willing to open early or close late for anyone who Naruto loves. Tuki said, wiping and checking woks and pans. Thank you, but we really don't want to cause a problem. Hinata said. Tuki laughed instantly. Nonsense. Naruto has been one of the most dedicated people to us, and I will always treat him with the most respect. He always came here, even in the off times where no one would come. Tuki reassured. The wives all smiled. Thank you. And we are sorry for barging in like this, but we know how popular this place gets. We wanted to be the first, and we really didn't expect you to open up early for us. Ino said in response. It's okay. I don't see you all enough for my tastes, so it is no trouble. I really haven't seen Naruto that much either. You girls should bring him around more. We will, but he doesn't need to eat more than ramen. Hanabi stated. Tuki smiled, and nodded. So, do you girls get talked to a lot by the other villagers? Tuki asked. I just assume you are like celebrities at this point. Not really. For the most part it is just like it always has been when visiting this village. Tamari answered. That might change when the crowd comes in later. Tuki stated. The wives looked at each other awkwardly, realizing he might be right. Naruto was the first one to take the clan restoration act in the Leaf Village for a long time, so he was a hero and an oddity. So how is everything going with the clan restoration act? Consul staying out of your hair. So far, yeah, Sumui said. Everyone else was eating between responses. And Naruto treating you all okay? Because if there is ever any trouble, I will smack that kid into shape. I love the kid, that's why I can do that. Tuki asked. Yeah, everything is fine. I don't think he could treat us wrongly if he tried. It just isn't in him. Ino said this time. While that is true, you gotta make sure he doesn't become stressed trying to make sure you are all happy. You will have to entertain yourselves sometimes. Tuki stated. We all need him to keep being the great ninja we all know he is. Agreed. They all said. It then hit both Ino and Karen that may be the reason why Hinata and Tamari may seem close. But them, Karen thought, looking at Ino. Couldn't be. Ino thought in a seeming response. I mean, we are a weird back rub away from being lesbians, but them. Them. No. I don't think so. Maybe. Both looked away, wondering if they were actually properly responding to each other in their heads, and by sheer coincidence, they were. The wives continued to eat, and time passed. Before they knew it, it was opening time to the public, and people started to show up. Sadly, Tuki was right. The wives were recognized, and people began to talk to them. They all asked questions like, what is it like being in a clan restoration act? What is Naruto really like? How long until the wedding? Where are you all going to live? The questions were all answered to the best of their ability, but more and more people began to show up, and tried to get them talking. Tuki decided as they got closer to finishing their food he started telling them all that they didn't have to pay, and should leave when they wanted to. He told each of them one by one, and took their bowls when they finished. Okay, you all. Time to leave these ladies alone. Tuki insisted, and the wives got up. He waved and said goodbye, and they did the same for him. After that, they took off away from the crowd. They all were happy so many people took a liking to them, but they all wished they would have respected their privacy a bit more. So I guess we should skip shopping then. Ino said. I guess we should just check out the other places Naruto loves. Karen suggested. Sounds good to me. Sumui stated. XXX with Naruto and Ren XXX. So what did you do in your village? Naruto asked as they walked to their next destination. I was part of the Anbu. My specialization was tracking the most dangerous. I'm not the best fighter, but I was good at getting in people's heads. Good at analyzing any situation. Though, I really don't like looking back at it. Ren answered. That's fine. So have you analyzed me then? Naruto asked. Yes, as much as I felt comfortable doing. Ren answered. What do you mean? Well, Ren started, walking in front of Naruto. She seemed different as she read him. Less nervous. More self-confident. A little scary. You train daily, except for the past few. You were very nearly killed years ago. You have been off of duty for quite a while, but you have made sure your skills haven't degraded. Naruto looked at her with surprise. Everything was true. Wow. You can tell all that just from looking at me. Yeah, the easiest was the almost died thing. There is a massive scar on your shoulder, though it is barely visible. It's so faded, it looks like a childhood injury, but I am sure it is closer to your early teen years. Wow, that's dead on. Let me try, Naruto said, and squinted his eyes, trying to see something he could read on her that would tell something about her. I got nothing. It's okay. It was very hard to get where I am now with my skills. It helps when I have to fight, because a lot of people have a tell when they are about to attack. Ren explained. Do I? Don't know. I have never fought you. To be honest, I would imagine so. I know ninja are trained not to, but sometimes, it can be a small giveaway. Something uncontrollable. Huh, well, is there anything you want to ask me? Well, Ren whispered. She started to think over all the questions she had wanted to ask him. She had waited so long to see him again, and wanted to ask the person who saved her so many things. Over the entire time she was there, she had learned that to many of her questions. I can't think of many. Are there any questions you want to ask me? What's your favorite color? The question surprised Ren. Thinking very fast, she tried to pick a meaning out of it. Maybe it was the idea you could tell a lot about someone by their favorite color. For her, it was sort of true. Baby blue. She waited for him to analyze her answer. He just smiled, and said that his was orange. It was not a surprise. When he said nothing else, she figured he didn't know anything about the social science of colors. It was fine. He was fun to be around. He was very nice. He was very smart in his own way. What is something you are proud of? Ren asked. I have fought both Madara Uchiha and Itachi Uchiha. The Itachi fight was very fast. Barely any fight. We just left each other alone. Madara had some help. The masked man, Obito. Yeah. Good God, have you just been fighting the Uchiha clan? What's left of it? I'm sorry. I've heard that there may be some still out there. That might have been my village getting its hopes up to steal another village's Kekai Genkai, but I don't know. It would be nice. The clan doesn't deserve to die because of its past. The one who almost killed you, was that an Uchiha? Because I couldn't see that scar when you saved me. It was covered. Naruto paused, and looked at his outfit. Everything up to his neck was covered. Wait, how did you see it? I cheated. I saw it last night while you were sleeping with Hanabi. And the other stuff. It's all obvious. Someday, I will teach you how to do it. Maybe after the wedding. Something tells me the skill would come in handy with as many wives as you will have. It would probably save you a lot of angry women in your life. You would be able to tell a lot about people's emotions, obviously. Sounds good. Do you really think I'm going to get in that much trouble? Let's think about it. Several women living in the same clan home, our periods may sync up, and if that were to happen, we are all going to get mad real fast. You think you train hard? I don't even want to be me if that happens. Naruto gulped. He could only imagine that he would be running around a lot at super speeds just trying to keep everyone with a calm head. And when we start having children. Naruto passed out. XXX with the wives XXX. The wives had seen the sights of the village, and were excited to see the final recommended spot. The top of the Hokage monument. As the wives got to the top, they saw why Naruto liked the location. The lights from Konoha were shining in such a way it seemed like a magical city in a snow globe. The streets below were almost completely empty in most areas, and the fire of Konoha seemed to be resting to rise again tomorrow. The future wives all stared over the edge of the monument, taking in the sight of the amazing village below. Karen and Ino looked over and saw Hinata and Tamari standing near each other again. Deciding that saying it was only them and the other wives, it was as good of a time as any to ask. So, you two slept in the same bed, and have been near each other all day. What's up? Karen asked. Everyone looked at them, and the others followed their gaze to Hinata and Tamari. Hinata looked suddenly shocked, and slightly nervous, while Tamari just sighed, and looked at Hinata for the okay. After Hinata nodded, Tamari answered. We are still deciding. See, the night most of us drank, we had sex. Before then, I had always really liked Hinata, a little like a crush, but since then, I don't know, it just feels like a bit more. We promised to talk about it, but a good time has never really came up. Everyone was shocked to hear the two had sex. Out of everything Karen and Ino had came up with, they both had decided throughout the day that was too far. The rest of the future wives were stunned, some not noticing anything was going on, and others just dismissing it as a coincidence. Hinata blushed heavily, realizing that her sister was right there. Wow. We didn't expect that. Karen murmured. Everyone else looked at them shocked. Thank you for telling us. I'm sure it took a lot to tell us. Ino said. It won't change things with everybody, will it? Hinata asked. No. Samui said instantly. Everybody else was shaking their heads no, with an approving look on their faces. You are welcome to do whatever you want. You are welcome to be whoever you want. Hanabi said, looking at her sister first, then to Temari. But Naruto does need to know. Saying he will be coming back here tomorrow to get Samui, you should really talk to him. Talk tonight and figure out what you want to do, and tell him. Yeah, Temari whispered. Even though it was unlike him, she had to wonder if he would be mad. She knew it was unlike him, but that was something she always worried about. XXX with Naruto and Ren XXX. Naruto gained consciousness fast, and was up. Ren had got him to a bench, and had him half laying on his side. Sorry. Didn't mean to scare you that much. I'm surprised you got so scared by that, saying how strong you are. I still would never hurt a woman unless my life was threatened. I've fought them before, but I've never really taken enjoyment out of it. Ren sat with Naruto on the bench, and sat against him. Naruto hugged her tightly, getting more and more used to the women now in his life. I don't even know anything about the Clan Restoration Act, and I signed up for it. Naruto sighed. Well, we could look for the Konoha rules on it if you want. I'm sure it wouldn't be too hard to find. Ren responded. Sounds good to me. The two of them headed off to the Hokage's office, knowing that would be the easiest place to find the information they needed. They got there fast, with both wanting to know the laws that came with the CRA. They walked up the steps, and Naruto decided to burst in the door. Tsunade. Naruto yelled coming into the office. Being shocked suddenly, Tsunade reacted as follows. Shock from Naruto bursting in, terror from him not calling her grandma, and finally, fear that he knew about Sakura when she saw one of the wives behind him. In that instant, she said the worst thing possible. I'm sorry. I know I should have told you about Sakura. Naruto stopped dead in his tracks. Tsunade suddenly flushed with terror, realizing that he didn't really know, and Ren was suddenly worried altogether about if Naruto was going to be mad at her and the other wives. What? Was all he could whisper. Tsunade stayed quiet for a moment, thinking over her options. Naruto had not seen Sakura in 2 years, so some new information would have been nice. Apparently, she had hidden something from him. Naruto, sit down, let me explain. Tsunade said calmly. Naruto slowly walked over, and sat in the chair on the other side of her desk. Ren quickly walked in, and sat next to him. She turned toward Naruto, and instantly started talking. Naruto, when I went with the other wives yesterday. Sakura saw us and began yelling at some of us about getting into a clan restoration act. Hinata, Temari, Samui, and I were allowed to leave, but as she yelled at Karen and Ino. We stayed inside, and it was a good thing we did. She almost hit one of them, but Temari and Hinata stopped her. She was arrested then, and we left. We didn't know how to tell you, but we knew we had to, but we just didn't know what to say. Ren explained, fidgeting. Tsunade and Naruto could both tell she was scared. Tsunade knew Naruto could get mad, but also knew that her fear was misplaced. I see. Naruto murmured. After she was arrested, Tsunade continued, she got her bail paid, and just disappeared. Since then, I have placed her in the ninja bingo book. If someone finds her, she is to be returned alive and unharmed, and a great amount will be paid. If injured or disturbed or dead, then they get arrested themselves. But, Naruto started quietly, why did she yell at Ino and Karen? Why was she so angry? She said they betrayed Sasuke, and said some not so nice things. Ren murmured. Naruto then stayed quiet for a while, obviously thinking very hard. He looked miserable now, though obviously tried to get over it quickly. Ren and I wanted to see the laws over the Clan Restoration Act. Naruto murmured. Naruto, if you are not up to it anymore, that is fine. We can go and talk. Ren offered, knowing he must have been horribly upset. No. I want to know what we are being put through. Naruto responded. Tsunade nodded, and walked to the wall of books on the side of her office. Pulling out a book slightly, she opened a secret drawer, containing several scrolls. You have scrolls hidden in an easy-to-find spot? Ren asked. These are the less important ones. Scrolls that, if stolen, could be redone to be better. It's like a half-obvious request to steal. Here is one of the reasons why. These laws are very old. They were made during the start of this village, and are kept sacred by the older members of the council. Tsunade explained, and rolled the scroll out on the table. Would it be okay if I wrote some of this down to show the other wives? Ren asked. After Tsunade nodded, Ren pulled out a 4x6 red handbook, with a pencil, and read the scroll as she wrote quickly. Tsunade noticed her ability of staying on the writing lines, and keeping her writing form and fit, even though she never looked down to check. She must have been one hell of an Anbu in the Mist Village, good thing she is part of this village now. Tsunade thought as she watched Ren write as fast as she read, which seemed impossibly fast. Some of the rules seemed standard for something like this. Kids within the first year, no fewer than 1 per wife, but no more than 6 per wife, that would be 48. That seems like a lot. Naruto thought as he read over the rules. Hey, Granny, why can't women be the center of a clan restoration act? Naruto asked. They can only bear one child, save twins or something like it, at a time. They are still asked, and paid, to have children. They can't as easily as one man and many wives. Tsunade answered, trying to say it as cleanly as possible. Gotcha. And children within the first year. So, when we get married, what if someone doesn't have kids? Naruto asked. Tsunade pointed to a specific part in the scroll, and Naruto looked shocked. It read, unless proper reason is given, then the wives that has yet to bear children shall be removed from the marriage. Naruto sighed loudly. That part of the act bothered him the most so far. The rest had parts that also aggravated him, but not as much as that one. Is that fine with you, Ren? Children that soon? Naruto asked. That rule is in my village's CRA laws too. I figured this village would have it too, so yes, she said first analytically, then nervously. She felt happy thinking of having kids with Naruto. Sitting back after finishing writing the laws down, she waited patiently for Naruto to finish reading them. May I see the handbook you wrote in? Tsunade asked. Ren nodded, and handed her the book. Tsunade opened it, and smiled. The girl really did have talent. Tomorrow, would you mind coming here? I want to talk to you about your skills. You aren't in trouble, I promise. I have a job request. Yes, Lady Hokage. Ren politely responded. Naruto stopped reading, whispered something in Ren's ears, and returned to reading. Granny, Ren corrected. Both Tsunade and Naruto looked shocked. I dared her to, but I didn't think she would do it. Naruto stated. He looked to Tsunade, who was actually staring at him now, knowing it was him that did it. Looking back at Ren, Tsunade spoke. I haven't killed Naruto for it yet, and I'm not about to kill one of his wives for it either. Welcome to the family. Ren smiled, and sat back again after getting her handbook back. She started wondering what Tsunade wanted with her, but decided to forget it until tomorrow. XXX some time later XXX. Naruto and Ren started on their way back to the Hyuga compound in silence. It had been a while since they talked, and Naruto was starting to worry. He offered to take her back to his apartment, but she turned it down, wishing to return to the Hyuga compound. At first, he thought nothing of it, but now he worried it was because of something that had happened in the day. Hey, Ren. Naruto asked suddenly. Ren jumped at the sudden speaking, and looked to Naruto. Yes. Is everything okay? Yeah, I just wanted to ask, he started. After which, he had a quiet moment. Did I do something wrong? Ren's eyes grew wide, and she looked away. She realized she hadn't explained herself right away. Naruto, I need you to understand something. Yeah, is everything okay? Naruto asked quickly. Naruto, I have a very different view of life than the others do. It doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I encourage it, but I don't believe we should have an intimate relationship until we are married. I'm sorry, it's just something I believe in, Ren quickly explained. Oh, I was worried I had done something dumb. Naruto sighed. Listen, it's fine. I haven't always been the one to start the relations I have had with the others, but I have always respected them. We can wait as long as you feel comfortable. Naruto stated. Hearing him accept her ways made her happy. She smiled, grabbed his hand in hers, and turned her head away from him. As intelligent as she still was withdrawn from anything romantic it seemed. Which made him seem to want her more. Naruto, stop it, you know how she feels, it's just something you can't have. When they got closer to the Hyuga compound, Naruto noticed Temari and Hinata outside. Naruto looked curiously at them, not knowing why the two were waiting alone. Seemingly behind a wall, the rest of the wives were listening intently. Temari and Hinata decided they needed to tell him now, so he could decide what he thought. Though they were worried, they had still resolve. Is everything okay? Naruto asked, keeping Ren's hand tight in his. Ren blushed heavily, but kept herself mostly calm. Naruto, we have to talk. Hinata said quickly. I'm sorry if this bothers you, but Hinata and I may be in love. Temari stated quickly. The two looked at each other, blushed, and looked away. Naruto stood, stunned. He even let go of Ren's hand. Well, he started slowly. That really surprised me. Out of anything you guys could need to talk to me about, that is something I didn't consider. Are you okay with this though? Hinata mumbled. She awkwardly grabbed Temari's hand. Well, yeah, I mean, why wouldn't it be okay? But, do you two still want to be in this, or would you rather leave the act? Naruto asked. He didn't seem overly bothered by it to them. Just cautious. Inside, he was a bit worried. He really liked them. Silly. Temari said, and moved with Hinata. Of course we want to stay with you. Hinata whispered as they got closer. They both kissed opposite sides of his face. Naruto blushed, and smiled. Ren walked up to the two girls when they backed away, and hugged them. I'm happy for you too. Me too, Naruto said, and hugged them all, with Ren in the middle. Ren blushed furiously, feeling Naruto pressing closely to her. He then kissed each one of them, making them all smile, and left Ren blushing more. We also had sex, Temari said suddenly. Naruto's face turned very red as he slowly thought about that. Temari, don't just say things like that. Hinata yelled. He needed to know. Yeah, but it could have waited.